Peter Ord, CEO of GuideCX. I'm blown away that an actual CEO wants to jump on here. Happy welcome, especially of an onboarding platform that I'm very familiar with. So, Peter.
Yeah, GuideCX. I built GuideCX to solve my biggest frustration. And they say oftentimes that's how the greatest companies.
Best product. You found a problem, went out there and fixed it. Yep.
And I kind of saw in the business to consumer world, the best companies in the world do things so customers don't have to call them. Like Amazon tells me when my package is late. I don't have to call Jeff Bezos or blow him up. Like he gives me insight. Domino's tells me when to leave my house to get a warm pizza out of the oven. But you jump to B2B, and oftentimes you're at the mercy of maybe a project manager or an implementation specialist or someone in delivery that's updating you. And the good ones do. The good ones update you and they keep you informed as to what the critical path looks like, when you're being scheduled for delivery or go live or whatever that time to value moment is. And I found that most of those individuals were using generic project management applications. Yeah. And there was no B2B pizza tracker, right? And it's kind of the most simple analogy that I can relegate our product down to. We're much more than that today. GuideCX is essentially a white labeled portal where unrelated parties can get work done and work better together. Some companies are still sending spreadsheets, still relying on project managers to update them via email. One of my biggest frustrations at my previous company was we managed our internal process really well. Yeah. We had 120 checklist items that we would go through in order to get a customer live.
Yeah.
And that was a great process internally. Like we recognize revenue upon milestone completions.
I remember those days. I remember getting emails from finance like, did you deliver that thing? You're like, yes, we did. Like, fantastic. Or it was like, get this done if we have to work through the weekend, because otherwise, like, we're not getting paid.
Yeah, exactly. But when you start thinking outside in, like a lot of the best companies do in the world, like Amazon thought about the customer experience before they thought about creating a marketplace. It's the reason I go and buy a product or a service off of Amazon and not go to the actual company's website to buy it, because Amazon gives me the peace of mind that, hey, I could return this if I want to. I know where it's going to be at after I order it. Yeah. Seldom do I put a credit card in any consumer website without knowing when first I'm going to get a product.
My family now refuses to pay shipping for anything. And I'm like, there's some poor mom and pop companies out there. Like I have, as you know from our mutual friend Sherry, a monthly delivery of artisan nut butter sent to me.
Yeah, you deserve it. Yeah, the customer experience matters. I think Salesforce did a study that they update on an annual basis saying, I think it was like 88% of your customers will buy you based on your post-sales experience itself. Like they value how they're treated more so than the actual product or service. And I think that becomes more relevant the more and more software or services become more and more commodities. A lot of companies do a really good job managing all the internal deliverables. Yeah. And kind of go through their list, right? Yep. We're all people that like to check things off and kind of move on.
Yep.
The challenging part is standardizing the external communication, and that's your customer experience. And if you ask yourself, if you're listening to this, hey, when I'm delivering a product, good or service, or when I'm going through a renewal, or when I'm going through a procurement process, any repetitive experience that involves a customer or an external party, how many times do you ask the customer to do something? And then ask yourself, is that different every time you go through that process? Or are you relying on your people to know how to ask for a deliverable or ask or for a signature or what have you? What ends up happening, and this happened at my old company, is we had 40 project managers asking for information 40 different ways.
Oh, yeah.
And so you have a customer experience that is different according to the individual that is catering to the customer. And I could go to McDonald's anywhere in the world and get the same Big Mac. Right? Like their process is refined.
Yeah.
And if you look from the outside in your company and honestly ask yourself, hey, how repetitive or how consistent is my customer experience? If it's consistent, then you can measure it. And if you can measure it, then you can optimize it.
Right.
And then and if customer experience is the primary differentiator as to why people buy your product, good or service, well, this is a requirement today. Remember when I was building GuideCX, I visited one of my pilots was in the cybersecurity space. They had like 100 project managers. Yeah. I got in the room and I'm like, hey, I don't even want to sell my product. I just want to ask people about the most frustrating parts of their jobs. And one of the questions I asked is, hey, what percentage of the time would you say you were quote unquote chasing information?
Yeah.
It was over 80% of their time. I said, how many emails on average a week would you be sending to chase information? I said 0 to 50, give me a hand raise. 50 to 100, give me a hand raise. 100 plus, like the majority of the room, we're sending 100 plus emails out a week asking for information that weren't templatized, right? Mind you. And who knows if email was even the right medium to capture that information back.
Yeah. So, Peter, thanks so much. I love how you've tied together consumerism and how there's an expectation for that inside the B2B process.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of parallels we can learn from our normal lives to our business lives.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks for the quick update, and I look forward to chatting more on this.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for all you do, Jeff.
Yeah.